A tiny electric hatchback leaves a factory in China. A sleek sedan pulls up beside a Tesla. A 7,000-pound luxury SUV drives into a lake and doesn't sink. At first, these cars have almost nothing in common. Different prices, different drivers, different purposes, but together they reveal something Detroit never expected. For more than a century, America's auto industry believed that building better cars was enough to stay ahead. These three cars suggest that belief may no longer be true, because the real advantage isn't the cars themselves, it's the industrial system capable of building all three. The car Detroit couldn't build. If you walked past a BYD Seagull in China, you probably wouldn't stop to take a picture. It isn't flashy, it isn't fast, and it certainly doesn't look like a car that's about to change one of America's oldest industries. It's simply a small city car doing what millions of Americans do every morning, taking someone to work. Yet one number changes everything: its price. In China, the Seagull sells for roughly $10,000, and during aggressive promotions, it has fallen even lower. That immediately raises an uncomfortable question. How can an actual electric car cost about the same as many Americans spend on a used vehicle? Most people already have an answer: cheap labor, lower wages, maybe government subsidies. Those explanations sound reasonable, but they also create a dangerous illusion. Because if low wages were the entire story, almost every low-cost manufacturing country would already be producing electric cars like this. They aren't. The Seagull isn't simply inexpensive, it's consistently profitable enough for BYD to keep expanding production while increasing sales. That suggests something much bigger is happening beneath the surface. Imagine being a young American buying your first car. Instead of choosing between a 10-year-old used sedan and years of expensive repairs, you suddenly have access to a brand new electric vehicle. No engine oil, fewer moving parts, lower operating costs. For millions of buyers, that's not just another car, it's a completely different financial equation. And that's exactly why Detroit is paying attention. Because the challenge isn't building a small EV. It's building one at a price people can actually afford. The Seagull destroys the first assumption. BYD isn't winning simply because it builds cheap cars. But if price isn't the real advantage, what happens when BYD starts competing on quality instead? The car Tesla didn't expect for years, Tesla represented the future of electric vehicles. Fast, modern, software-driven. For many buyers, it became the benchmark every new EV had to chase. Then BYD introduced the Seal, and suddenly comparisons began changing. Not because the Seal was dramatically cheaper, but because reviewers started asking a different question. What if this is simply the better value? The most surprising reviews didn't come from journalists. They came from Tesla owners. Some praised the Seal's quieter cabin. Others preferred its interior quality. Some even found its ride more comfortable for everyday driving. The conversation quietly shifted. This was no longer about copying Tesla. It was about offering buyers another legitimate choice. That may sound like a small difference. In reality, it's one of the biggest changes the EV market has seen. The second assumption begins to collapse. Many people still think Chinese automakers compete only on price. The Seal tells a different story. It competes through design, technology, driving experience, and overall value. That's a completely different battlefield, one that Detroit and Tesla understand very well. Now, the story becomes even stranger. One BYD changed expectations about affordable EVs. Another challenged one of the world's most valuable car companies. So why would the same manufacturer build a luxury SUV that can float on water? Because that's where the real story begins. SUV. Nobody thought China would build Beat 1, the third piece of evidence. Imagine watching a luxury SUV drive straight into a lake. Your first instinct would probably be to call for help. Instead, it keeps floating. For a short period in an emergency, the Yangwang U8 is designed to stay afloat, buying precious time for its passengers. Then there's another feature. It can perform a full tank turn, rotating almost in place before driving away. Whether most owners ever need these features is almost beside the point, because the message isn't about floating, it's about capability. For decades, luxury engineering belonged to companies like Mercedes-Benz, Land Rover, BMW, and Lexus. Chinese automakers were expected to compete at the bottom of the market, not at the top. The U8 challenged that assumption. This wasn't another budget crossover, it was a technology showcase designed to prove something far bigger. BYD wasn't trying to catch up anymore. It wanted to redefine what people expected from a Chinese vehicle. By now, 3 completely different cars have told 3 completely different stories. The Seagull proved BYD could build affordable EVs. The Seal proved it could compete with Tesla. The U8 proved it could enter the luxury segment with confidence. These aren't random successes. They're beginning to look like a pattern. But what exactly connects them? Because if these cars target different customers, why do they all seem to come from the same playbook? It's not about the car's place. The Seagull, the Seal, and the U8 side by side. Different sizes, different prices, different missions. Yet engineers see something most buyers never notice. Look underneath the body panels. Look beyond the styling. The similarities begin to appear. Many of BYD's vehicles share common engineering philosophies: battery technology, electric motors, power electronics, vehicle software, manufacturing platforms. Instead of treating every new model as an entirely separate project, BYD repeatedly builds upon systems it already controls and continuously improves. That approach reduces complexity while allowing innovation to spread much faster across its lineup. Most people assume successful car companies create great products one at a time, but that's not what makes this story different. BYD isn't simply producing successful vehicles. It's building a system capable of producing successful vehicles over and over again. That's a very different competitive advantage. And it's much harder to copy. If the real advantage isn't any single car, then where does that advantage actually come from? The answer isn't hiding inside the showroom, it's hiding inside the factory. It's not about the car's place. The Seagull, the Seal, and the U8 side by side. Different sizes, different prices, different missions. Yet engineers see something most buyers never notice. Look underneath the body panels. Look beyond the styling. The similarities begin to appear. Many of BYD's vehicles share common engineering philosophies: battery technology, electric motors, power electronics, vehicle software, manufacturing platforms. Instead of treating every new model as an entirely separate project, BYD repeatedly builds upon systems it already controls and continuously improves. That approach reduces complexity while allowing innovation to spread much faster across its lineup. Most people assume successful car companies create great products one at a time, but that's not what makes this story different. BYD isn't simply producing successful vehicles. It's building a system capable of producing successful vehicles over and over again. That's a very different competitive advantage, and it's much harder to copy. If the real advantage isn't any single car, then where does that advantage actually come from? The answer isn't hiding inside the showroom, it's hiding inside the factory. Every dollar was designed away. Walk through one of BYD's manufacturing facilities, and you'll notice something unusual. Robotic arms weld body panels with incredible precision. Gigantic casting machines replace dozens of smaller components with single structural pieces. Battery production sits remarkably close to vehicle assembly. Every step seems designed to remove unnecessary time, movement, and cost. Nothing feels accidental. Many people think low prices come from cutting quality, but modern manufacturing often works differently. Every extra supplier, every additional shipment, every unnecessary component, every repeated process adds cost. BYD has spent years trying to eliminate those costs before the customer ever sees the final vehicle. That's engineering just as much as designing an electric motor. Detroit isn't facing a company that's simply willing to charge less. It's facing a company obsessed with removing cost from almost every stage of production. That's a much deeper challenge, because competitors can copy a feature. They can even copy a design. It's far harder to copy an entire manufacturing philosophy. And yet, even the factory isn't the whole story, because factories don't build themselves. They depend on something even bigger, an entire city working as one industrial machine. The city that builds cars. Leave a BYD factory, and the story doesn't end. It actually gets bigger. Within a relatively short distance, suppliers manufacture battery cells, electric motors, semiconductors, aluminum parts, glass, wiring harnesses, and countless other components that keep production moving. Then come the highways, the rail lines, the ports, the logistics centers. The factory isn't working alone. It's connected to an entire industrial network designed to move materials, information, and finished vehicles with remarkable speed. For generations, Detroit perfected the idea of building world-class automobiles. Shenzhen perfected something different. It built an environment where hundreds of specialized companies could evolve together. Every improvement made by one supplier can ripple through dozens of others. Ideas travel faster. Parts travel shorter distances. Production adapts more quickly. That's difficult to appreciate by looking at a single car, but it's impossible to ignore when you step back and see the entire ecosystem. Many people assume great automakers compete factory against factory. Increasingly, that's no longer true. Today's competition looks more like ecosystem versus ecosystem. One company may build an excellent vehicle. Another may operate inside an industrial network that makes every future vehicle easier, faster, and cheaper to produce. Those are two very different advantages. If that's the real battlefield, then why can't Detroit simply invest billions of dollars and build the same thing? The problem, money can't solve. Whenever a new competitor appears, the obvious solution seems simple. Spend more, build new factories, hire more engineers, invest in better technology. Detroit has done all of those things before, but there's one resource that can't be purchased overnight: time. Industrial ecosystems aren't built in a single investment cycle. They're built over decades. American automakers also carry responsibilities that newer competitors often don't. Existing factories, long-established supplier relationships, dealer networks, legacy manufacturing systems, millions of customers already on the road. Those strengths help Detroit dominate for generations, but they also make rapid transformation far more difficult. Changing direction isn't like turning a sports car, it's more like turning an aircraft carrier. This isn't a story about American engineers lacking talent, or American companies lacking capital. It's about the enormous challenge of reinventing an industry while continuing to operate the old one at the same time. That's a balancing act few industries have ever managed successfully. But in the end, none of these companies make the final decision. Someone else does, the customer. The customer will decide everything. Most buyers don't wake up thinking about industrial strategy. They think about monthly payments, insurance costs, charging, maintenance, reliability, and whether they can comfortably afford the next 5 years of ownership. That's the reality every automaker eventually faces. Brand loyalty is powerful, but affordability is often stronger. If two vehicles meet a family's daily needs, many buyers will naturally compare overall value rather than history, better warranty, lower ownership costs, more features, better technology. Those practical decisions, repeated millions of times, gradually reshape entire industries. For decades, Detroit benefited from something difficult to measure: trust. Generations of American families bought the same brands their parents bought. But today's buyers have more choices than ever before. And many are increasingly willing to compare value first and brand second. That subtle shift may become one of the biggest changes of all. So after everything we've seen, the Seagull, the Seal, the Yangwang U8, the factories, the supply chains, the customers, one question still remains. What do all of these pieces actually reveal about the future of America's auto industry? The discovery. Let's go back to the beginning. The BYD Seagull wasn't just a cheap electric car. The Seal wasn't simply another Tesla competitor. And the Yangwang U8 wasn't built just to impress YouTube audiences with flashy demonstrations. Each one solved a completely different problem: affordable transportation, competitive performance, luxury innovation, yet somehow they all came from the same company. At first, that looks like remarkable product planning. Look closer, and it becomes something much bigger. The Seagull showed that BYD could reduce costs without abandoning the electric future. The Seal showed that value could compete with premium brands. The U8 showed that Chinese engineering no longer needed to avoid the luxury segment. Then came the factories, the batteries, the vertically integrated supply chain, the industrial ecosystem surrounding Shenzhen. None of those discoveries mattered by themselves. Together, they reveal the real story. These cars weren't independent successes. They were different expressions of the same manufacturing philosophy. For most of the last century, success in the auto industry was often measured by one question: who builds the better car? But the evidence we followed points somewhere else. Perhaps the more important question today is who has built the better system, because systems improve every future product. A great car can win a model year. A great industrial system can shape an entire generation. And that brings us to the question Detroit may soon have to answer. If the real competition has already changed, what happens next? One question. Detroit can't ignore history shows that every major industrial shift follows a familiar pattern. At first, established leaders dismiss new competitors. Then they acknowledge them. Finally, they discover the competition was never about one product. It was about an entirely different way of building products. The automobile industry may be entering that final stage today. This story was never really about 3 BYD vehicles. Those cars were simply the clues. The deeper story is about manufacturing, supply chains, vertical integration, software, battery technology, industrial ecosystems. The next companies to reshape global manufacturing may not look exactly like BYD. but they will almost certainly learn from the same principles. That means the lessons extend far beyond electric vehicles. They could influence robotics, energy storage, commercial transportation, artificial intelligence hardware, and industries that haven't yet reached their own turning point. Detroit has overcome enormous challenges before: oil crises, foreign competition, financial collapse, technological disruption. Its history proves it can adapt. But every successful comeback begins with recognizing that the rules have changed. Because if the future belongs to companies capable of improving an entire industrial ecosystem, not just designing great vehicles, then every automaker is playing a different game than it was just a decade ago. So perhaps the most important question isn't whether BYD will sell more cars than Ford or General Motors. And it isn't whether one Chinese vehicle is better than one American vehicle. The real question is much larger. If these three cars are all products of the same industrial system, how many more industries could that system eventually reshape? Because history rarely changes all at once. It usually begins with something that seems surprisingly small. Sometimes, it's just three cars that most of the world almost ignored.